Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. I would like to welcome all of you. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. We are today, this is Management 301, Principles of Management, September 6, 2020. And this is Dr. Samr Hamad. And today we are going to go into chapter 2, which is the management history, or the evolution of managerial historical thought. Okay, I would like to give you just a quick historical notation. If this is where we are right now, okay, say 2020, okay, and we could divide the managerial thoughts into several categories, started as early as 1890, then 1930, then 1940, and 1960, and 1970. In a very brief time summation, I'm just going to put you in a very wide spectrum. How did this managerial thoughts evolve? Okay, it started as early as 1800 or 1886 actually, and about 1890 we have the first thoughts of management, which is bureaucratic management. Okay, bureaucratic. And this is the first one. We call it classical or traditional. Thought. And this converted or divided into three schools of thought. The first one, the bureaucratic management, and the pioneer for that is Max Weber. Okay, about 1890. Okay, and Max Weber, he was a German social historian who put 7 characteristics for management. 7 characteristics for management. Then we have the scientific management, Sci, MGT, and this is divided into 3 schools of thought. And these thoughts are Frederick Taylor, okay, and Frederick Taylor and Gantt, okay, who put the Gantt chart. Frederick Taylor, he studied time and motion. And we have Frank and Lillian Gilbert. And they were very much trying to put standard time, standard breaks for our lunch break and so forth. And then we have the administrative, the admin management schools of thought, and this has been introduced by Henry Fayol, who is French, okay, who puts 14 principles of management. Therefore, now we have principles of management. He puts therefore, the first one who started the thoughts of management, Max Weber, 1890, and then we have scientific management, mainly American, and then we have Henry Fayol, which is French. This guy is German. Max Weber was German. and Henry Fayol was the French. He put 14 principles of management. We are going to go through them as we go through these slides. Okay. In 1930, we had in the United States the Great Depression. Okay, the Great, and they were not treating humans as human. You know, they were working them very hard because of the Great Depression, and there were several attempts, you know, to look at those workers as what? As a human. Let's just treat them in a very humane way. And the pioneers for these schools of thoughts is Follett's. Okay. Okay, let's call this is they call it behavioral school. This is behavioral school thought. This is a classical or traditional schools of thought. The behavioral school, we have Follett's, and we have the pioneer of that, who tried to put 4 principles of coordination. Okay, 4P of coordination, and we have Chester Bernard, who said he said there should be a balance between the work and between the life. Most importantly, however, is the Hawthorne Studies. Okay, it is Hawthorne Studies is a plant in Hawthorne for West Electric Company, and the study took place between 1924 to 32. To 1932 to study the effects of physical things, environment, illumination, okay, on the productivity of the workers. Okay, very famous study. Okay, this is done by Elton Mayo. It's very famous study. Okay, in the 40s we have Second World War, and during the Second World War, they wanted to have, they would like to have a very, very fast way to do the logistic of the war, how to put places through the right path, and to do it in a faster way. And during this time, we had the operational research came out, and in the 40s, we have what we call system view. We have system, schools of thought or view, and this is consists of we start looking, or we start basing our we start making decisions based on math, computer application, and economics, and we start looking at the system, which each system has input, process, output, and with a feedback. And we start looking at open system, closed system, and subsystem. Okay, and this we start looking at math when we make decision making based on math, economics, and computer application. Okay. The 60s, in the 60s, they came with a notion of how do we make use of all these schools of thought. We have the classical or traditional view, which consists of three schools, okay? Scientific and the bureaucratic and administrative management, behavioral schools, that and the system school. How do we make use of all of those, and which one is the best? Okay, and which one is the best? And the what we call, accordingly we had the answers to that is dependent situation. Okay, I could use sometimes the classical, I could use the system, I could use the behavioral, and that's why we have this, what we call it, situational or contingency schools of thought. That depend on the situation, I could use any of those, okay, or I could wear any hat, okay. Contingency schools of thought came to combine technology plus people, okay, combine tech plus people plus external variables, okay. And to make use of all previous schools of thought. To make use of all previous. In the 70s, we have the evolution of quality. And the father of the quality is Edward Deeming, and who introduced a cycle called Deeming Cycle. This is the quality schools of thought. Okay, school. And he has famous plan, do, check, act with a continuous improvement until you reach perfection. Okay. And during this time, Edward Deeming, he was emphasizing customer satisfaction, total quality, and re-engineering. We have here total quality, and we have the concept of re-engineering. Okay? And re-engineering. And we have customer satisfaction. The question is, are we going to have some more schools of thought? Yes, of course. As we go along on time, you will be seeing more and more schools of thought. Okay, now we'll go through the slides. This is very, very brief, okay? I would like to leave it for your attention here. And this is the chapter, which is the management history. I try to summarize it in a nice small chart, but we will have here the same thing, but in more details information, okay? Now, historical background of management started as the ancient management. We have Egyptian pyramids and China Great Walls, and we have the Venetian, the floating warship, assembly lines. And Adam Smith published his The Wealth of Nations in 1776, and he advocated the division of labor, which is job specialization, to increase the productivity of workers as early as 1776. Then Industrial Revolution came, which to substitute the machine power for human labor. Rather than having the human, we brought the machine, okay? We substitute the human by machines and created large organization in need of management, okay? This is another display. This exhibition shows the major approaches of management, historical background, early example of management, Adam Smith, Industrial Revolution, we talked about it. Then we have the classical approach, okay, that we discussed. Here he puts the scientific management and general administrative. Scientific, as we said, Frederick Taylor and Gant and Gilbert. And he put the general administrative, which is by Henry Fayol, okay? Then he put here quantitative approach, and he talked about the behavioral approach. He talked about the early advocates, okay? More than what we discussed, actually. We talked about Bernard, and we talked Hawthorne, folate, okay? And it's, the behavioral is also even before that, okay? Then he talked about Hawthorne Studies, and here where we start having what we call the organizational behavior during that time, okay? Then contemporary approach, which is he combined a system approach with the contingency approach. System approach, okay, with the contingency or situational approach. Okay, now, major approaches to management: classical, quantitative, behavioral, and contemporary or situational approach. Now, scientific management, as we said, Frederick Taylor, he is the father of scientific management. He published Principles of Scientific Management in 1911, and the theory of scientific management using scientific methods to define one best way for a job to be done, putting the right person in the job, which the correct tools and with correct tools and equipment, having a standardized method of doing job, doing each one do the same job, same way, according to what? To science, okay, scientifically. And then providing an economic incentive for workers. People who work more, I should give them more incentive, okay? And then this is Taylor's management principles. Develop a science, okay, for each element of an individual's work. Everything should be done according to science, okay? And scientifically select and then train, tech, and develop the worker. You have to help the worker, train them, okay? Heartily cooperate with workers so as to ensure that all work is done in accordance with the principle of science and has been developed. Anything been done according to what? Science, okay? And then number 4, divide work and responsibility almost equally between management and worker. Management have their own work and the worker have their own work. Management takes over all work for which it is better fitted than the workers. The management work is different than the worker, the lower level workers, okay? Then scientific management, we have the Frank and Lillian Gilbert, as you said. By the way, Frank and Lillian are a man and his Lillian and her husband, okay? Man and a woman. Frank is a man and his wife is Lillian Gilbert. They focus on increasing worker productivity through reduction of wasted motion. They literally bring watch and they try to time the worker time and see where are the waste, and they try to reduce it. Therefore, everything is done according to science, okay? Wasted motion. Then they developed micro chronometer to time worker motion and optimize worker performance. They measure everything by what? Stopwatch, okay? How do today managers use scientific management? Use time and motion studies to increase the productivities, hire the best qualified employees, and design incentive system based on output. General administrative theory, Henry Fayol, as we said, Henry Fayol is a French, okay? He put 14 principles of management. Henry Fayol believed that the practice of management was distinct from other organizational function. He developed 14 principles of management that applies to all organization situation. What are these 14 principles? Division of work, he has to divide the work. Authority, you have to give the people or the person, supervisor authority. Discipline, discipline, you have to deal them with high discipline on the part, okay? Discipline, employees must obey and respect rules that govern the organization. Unity of command, each group or one he has he should receive orders from only one superior. Unity of command, you have only one boss, you don't have two bosses, okay? Unity of direction, the organization should have a single plan of actions to guide managers and workers. Everybody is connected through lines, which is the organization chart. Therefore, everybody know who is his boss and how many people he is supervising. This is called unity of command and unity of direction. Subordination of individual interest to the general interest, okay? I have my own interest as a worker, but there are also organization interests, okay? But there shouldn't be a conflict between the two. And, you know, I should submit to the organizational interest first, okay? Remuneration, worker must be paid a fair wage of their service. We have, subhanallah, hadith, the saying about our Prophet ﷺ, that you have to give a worker. This is 1400 years ago, okay? He said you have to give the worker his money before his sweat go dry. أعطي الأجير أجره قبل أن يجف عرقه. Okay? This is came, okay, that worker has to be paid fairly wage for their services. Centralization, this terms refers to the degree to which subordination are involved in a decision making. Scholar chain, the line of authority from top to management to the lowest rank, are scalar chain. You can see very well who's reporting to what and who is supervising whom. There should be order, okay? There should be equity. There should be stability of tenure of personnel, which is management should provide orderly people, planning and ensuring that replacement are available to fill the vacancies. Once the old people retire, you should have a plan to cover for them or hire new people. There should be initiative and a spirit de corps, which is promoting team spirit. A team spirit will build the harmony and unity within the organization. But these are the 14 principles that Henry Fayol, he puts it or suggested for management. Okay. Max Weber is the father of, again, Max Weber, he's German historian. He is the father of bureaucratic management. He developed theory of authority based on ideal type of organization. And bureaucracy emphasizes rationality. You take decision based on rationality, predictability, impersonality. I don't have anything personally against you. This is job, this is work, okay? Therefore, impersonality and technical competencies and authoritarianism, okay? Therefore, this is the bureaucracy. Now, the bureaucracy have so much negative notation because it has been, unfortunately, very much misused, okay? Therefore, this is the bureaucracy should have division of labor, okay? Should have authority hierarchy, formal selection, formal rules and regulation, impersonality, and should have career orientation. Division of labor should have jobs broken down into simple routine and well-defined tasks. Authority hierarchy, positions are organized in a hierarchy with a clear chain of command. Formal selection, people selected for job based on technical qualification. Formal regulation, formal rules and regulation. There should be system of written rules. Everything should be written, okay? Rules and standards, operation of procedure or manuals, okay? Impersonality, uniform application of rules and control, not according to personality, okay? It's not according to my wish or what I think. There should be impersonal about that. Career orientation, managers are career professionals, not owners of units they manage. You don't own the department you manage, okay? You are professionals. You are a manager for that, okay? Do we have managers that they think they own the department? Yes, we do, okay? So you have to be careful, okay? Managers are career professionals, not owners of units they manage, okay? This is what Max Weber suggested for his bureaucracy. Then quantitative approach came, okay? Quantitative, also called operation research or management science, evolved from the mathematical and statistical methods developed to solve World War II military logistics and quality control problems, okay? Logistic and quality control problems, okay? Focuses on improving managerial decisions making by applying statistics, optimization technique or model, information models, and computer simulation. Therefore, this is the quantitative approach. Then we have total quality management, okay? I talked about Edward Deeming and his cycle, but total quality management, TQM, a management philosophy devoted to continual improvement and responding to customer needs and expectations. Therefore, your existence as a company and as a product is for what? To satisfy the customer, okay? And to give him best quality, okay? Now, TQM was a departure from earlier management approach that were based on the belief that keeping costs low was the only way to increase productivity. Therefore, it's not necessarily that is true, okay? They were tying high quality with high cost. The schools of thought that came said it's not necessarily I make high quality with high cost. I still can do high quality with a lower cost, okay? Now, how today managers use the quantitative approach? Customer focus and continuous improvement, as we said, plan, do, check, act, plan, do, check, act, continuous improvement until you reach perfection, okay? Do we have perfect machine? Almost, yes, we have perfect machine. Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Lexus, these are almost perfect machine, okay? Management, commitment to quality, training and empowerment, benchmarking. I bring the best in the market, I use it as a bench. If I am Ford or General Motors or Chrysler and I would like to do a car like Mercedes or BMW or Lexus, therefore that's gonna be my bench, okay? Something I compare with in order to reach that, okay? What is quality management is all about? Quality management is intense focus on the customer. Concern for continual improvement, Deeming Cycle, plan, do, check, act, plan, do, check, act, okay? Process focus, the focus in the process itself. Accurate measurements, okay? Empowerment of employee. Give the employees power to report any deficiencies, to report any problem. These are the, this is the essence of a quality management, okay? Then the behavioral approach, the organizational behavior, OB, the study of the action of people at work. People are the most important asset of the organization. You have to put that in mind and believe in it. The most important asset in your organization is your people, okay? Early organizational behavior advocates, Robert Owens and Hugo Munzberg, Mary Parker Follett, and Chester Bernard. We talked about some of them, and here are the rest, okay? as early as 1700. This is the early advocates of organizational behavior. As early as 1700, we have Robert Owen, who concerned about deplorable working conditions, proposed idealistic workplace, and argued that money spent on improving labor was a smart investment. Hugo Metzberg, early 1900, he is pioneer in field of industrial psychology, scientific study of people at work. He suggested using psychological tests for employees selection, learning theory, concerns for employees training, and the study of human behavior for employees motivation. Also, in the early 1900s, we have Mary Parker Follett. This is one of the first to recognize that organizations, could be viewed from perspective of an individual and group behavior. We start looking at the organization from different angle, Proposed more people-oriented ideas than scientific management followers, and thought organizations should be based on group ethics, What's right, what's wrong. Then Chester Bernard, the 1930s, he came. He said, mainly he talked about that actual managers who thought organizations were social system that require cooperation. Everybody has to be part of that system and very much cooperative, And believed managers' job was to communicate and stimulate employees' high level of effort. First, to argue, Chester Bernard, that organizations were open system. Hawthorne Studies, very important part of the organization behavior, a series of productivity experiments conducted at Western Electric from 1924 to 1932, almost 8 years, 7 to 8 years, Experimental findings, very important, Productivity unexpectedly increased under imposed adverse working conditions. The effect of incentive plans was less than expected. However, the research conclusion that social norms, group standards, and attitudes more strongly influence individual output and work behavior than do monetary incentives. Other word, human relation, friendship, appreciating the worker will make more incentive than the money or than the physical things that provided with the job. You have to tap his shoulder, tell him you are so good, I can trust you, you are. This is the research conclusion for Hawthorne study. Therefore, you have always to show your interest and show that this worker is what? Valuable. How today's managers use behavioral approach. The behavioral approach has largely shaped how today's organizations are managed, how managers design the jobs, the way that they work with employees' team, and the way that they communicate. Therefore, this has lots of effects by organizational behavior. System theory, we talked about it, System theory, system approach, input, process, output with the feedback process, A system is a set of interrelated and interdependent parts arranged in manner that produce unified whole. Input, process, output, feedback. Open system, closed system, subsystem, Basic type of system, closed system, are not influenced by and do not interact with their environment. All system input and output is internal, closed system. Example, let's assume that we are going to manufacture this. This is, if all of the activities to manufacture this whiteboard pen under one roof is called closed system. We put here this cotton, and then we push it into cylinder, then we soak it into the ink, then in that corner we put it inside the plastic cylinder, then here we put it the cover, then we hit it box, and then everything is under one roof. This is called closed system. In general, as a rule of thumb, all industries manufacturing that contain and maintain under one roof called closed system. All the services, companies provide services like the STC, telecommunication, marketing, these are open system. Airline services, all open, okay? This is called open system. Open system dynamically interact to their environment by taking inputs and transformation them into output that are distributed into their environment. You cannot provide service under closed system. It has to be open system. And this is the model, okay, organization. We should look at organization as an open system. Why? Because in the input, we have raw materials, human resources, capital, technology, information. This will go into transformation process, which is employees' work activities, management activities, technology, and operation. And then it will produce output, which is the product and services, financial results, information, and human results with a process of feedback. All this takes place within an environment. Therefore, we have always to look at organization as open system because it is always working within the environment and needs, okay, these external factors that affected by the environment. The system approach and managers coordination of the organization part is essential for proper functioning of the entire organization. Decisions and action taking in one area of the organization will have an effect in other areas, okay, of the organization. Organizations are not self-contained and therefore must adapt to change in their external environment. Whatever happens in the environment will affect the organization. Look, example, 2020, COVID-19. So many organizations affected by the external environment, which is the COVID-19, okay? Therefore, you cannot separate yourself. You are living within an environment, therefore this environment is going to affect you and you will be affected by the environment. Contingency approach said, this is the schools of thought that came. What is the best? Traditional schools, behavioral schools, system schools, bureaucratic schools, scientific management school, administrative. Answer is it depends on the situation. That's why they call it situational approach or contingency approach. Contingency approach, also sometimes called the situation approach. This is not, and this suggests that there is no one universally applicable set of management principles or rules by which to manage organization. You cannot manage all organizations same way. Okay, there is no set of rules that you take and you apply. Okay, it always depends on the situation. Organizations are individually different, face different situations, which is contingency variables, and require different ways of managing. Therefore, managers are very important how to think, articulate, how to solve a problem. Managers are problem solver, resource allocator, okay? Contingency approach and managers, the primary values of the contingency approach is that it stresses that there are no simplistic or universal rules for managers to follow. You cannot manage organization by rule of thumb, okay? Depends. Each situation is different, okay? What and how these differences, depending popular contingency variables on organization size. If organization is small, have a small problem. If it is big, has bigger problem, okay? As size increase, so do the problems of coordination. Rootness of task technology. If it is routine and very simple, it is simple to deal with. If it is complex, it is more complex to deal, okay? Routine technologies require organizational structure, leadership style, and control systems that differ from those required by customized or non-routine technologies. Environmental uncertainties. What works best in a stable and predictable environment may be totally inappropriate in a rapidly changing and unpredictable environment. Individual differences. Individuals differs in terms of their desire for growth, autonomy, tolerance of ambiguity, and expectations. Okay? Okay. We have a few slides. I still, rather than just can go quickly through it. Okay. Now, administrative perspectives in the early Arab context. يقول لك early Arab lived in a relatively small communities. Their tribal life emphasizes the role of endurance, generosity, and communal cohesion. But this did not necessitate any type of advanced managerial thinking. Tribal society, okay? The relationship between the employer and the employee was simple, and issue of fairness and equality were not a priority at that time, which with the advent of Islam in the year 622 after Christ, okay, attitudes towards certain profession were drastically changed. Now, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, developed a perspective of work and management that radically different from the earlier perspective. Therefore, before Sayyidina Muhammad and after Sayyidina Muhammad, peace upon him, okay? The relationship between the employer and employee changed because of Islam, okay? Under the new paradigm, which is Islam, the employee was supposed to get his fare and share quickly. There is not a widespread accepted Arab theory of management. We don't have yet Arab theory of management, okay? Widely spread, okay? The managerial perspective based on Islam as idealistic and desirable as they are cannot be presented as presenting an Arab theory of management. In other words, we don't have a theory for management, Arabic management. Why? The reason, other cultures, political and historical influences are also present. Sometimes actual administrative practices diverge from what is recommended. Last slide, okay? Islamic managerial perspective. We have work is an act of worship. العمل عبادة. Responsibilities of employees. Work as a trust. أمانة. الأمانة في العمل. Reliance on own self. You have to do the work yourself. Reliance on yourself, okay? We have Islamic managerial perspective, okay? And we have a quality, which is إتقان, okay? Consultative decisions making, شورى, أمر شورى بينهم. Responsibility of employers, proper placement, responsibility of employee, fairness, and human treatment of employees. This will conclude our class for today, Chapter 2, Management History, and I'm gonna also take you through what has been put in the board here so that you know, okay? And I'll send it for you also to your WhatsApp group, and I will send you also all these slides. Thank you very much, and you have a good evening.